Welcome to this week's episode of Ask a Scientist. I'm Adam Watson. I'm a PhD student here at the University of Manchester, and today I'm going to answer some questions on circadian rhythms, which is my area of research and interest. So the first question was, what mechanisms control our circadian rhythms? Every cell in our body contains a clock, and this clock functions much like the clockwork in the clock you find on the wall. So a special set of genes and proteins in every cell in your body oscillate with a period of around 24 hours, hence the term circadian, circa meaning approximately, dian meaning a day. So while this clockwork is found in almost every cell in the body, there are specialized biological clocks in the brain that are particularly good at controlling their own rhythmicity. One of these areas in particular is located in the hypothalamus, and it's called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN for short. And the SCN cycles its activity over 24 hours approximately, and it's incredibly good and incredibly strong at producing rhythms in its activity. And the SCN receives light information through the eyes, and then it sets its internal timer and then coordinates a timekeeping signal to cellular clocks in the rest of the body. So the circadian system then is a hierarchy. It's made up of brain regions, cells, and also genes and proteins which interact with each other. And it's this system, this hierarchy, that's responsible for all the circadian rhythms that we associate in a vast array of organisms, such as body temperature rhythms, the sleep-wake cycle, and certain blood composition rhythms. And a special feature of circadian rhythms is that they persist in constant conditions, so in constant darkness. So the second question is, how are my circadian rhythms related to my health? So numerous lines of evidence suggest that circadian rhythms and a fully functioning circadian system are incredibly important for our health. And a prime example of what can happen when we disrupt our circadian system is shift work. And numerous studies in humans and shift workers show that increased likelihood of certain diseases such as depression, cardiovascular disorders, metabolic disorders such as obesity, and cancer risk increase when we disrupt our circadian system through shift work. The good news is that the circadian system is beginning to emerge as a possible target to treat certain diseases. So the third question is, how do my circadian rhythms change during age? And if they do change, how do they change? So in short, yes, our circadian rhythms do change during age, and this is due to developments and changes in our circadian system. So it makes sense to start right at the beginning. So let's start before birth. So in humans and a number of other species, circadian rhythms have been shown even in fetuses, as early as fetuses. So in humans, fetal movements, fetal heart rate has been shown to have circadian rhythmicity. And these are thought to initially be synchronized by the mother's circadian system. Now the SCN, the master circadian clock, doesn't develop until around 18 weeks after fertilization. And it isn't until around 1 to 2 months after birth that solid circadian rhythms begin to emerge without any input from the mother, of course, when they're born. Now, after this 1 to 2 month period after birth and into adolescence, the circadian system continues to develop. And we're all familiar with teenagers, how they like their lions, and this is thought to be partly due to a shift later in our circadian system. And generally after the age of sort of 20, 25 into elderly age, our circadian rhythms shift earlier. And this is thought to be partly due to lifestyle changes, but also due to changes in our circadian clock and circadian system mechanisms. So the next question is, I'm going to America for Christmas. What's the best way to beat jet lag when I travel? So traversing across time zones can wreak havoc for our circadian system. And that's because the circadian system evolved over billions of years during a time when we never needed to rapidly shift our light-dark cycle. Now, traveling to America is a decent shift of around 5 to 10 hours, depending on where you're traveling to. And there are some tips that I can give you for when you arrive in America, and also what you can possibly do before to help you out when you go. So the first and probably the most important thing as a circadian neuroscientist is your exposure to light and your exposure to darkness. So when you arrive in a new time zone, be America or anywhere else, you want to expose yourself to as much natural light as possible, and particularly sunlight during the early morning and sunlight during the early afternoon, because this is when light levels are highest with respect to the inside conditions and also to darkness. In hand with this, you want to make sure that your bedroom is as dark as possible and that you try to stick to local time darkness in your room and avoid artificial light at night. So that's no mobile phones, no tablets, and no laptops. So light, darkness, probably the most important aspect of shifting your circadian system as rapidly as you possibly can in line with your new light-dark cycle. So also the circadian system will respond to other things such as food. So again, food, exercise, you want to make sure that you're keeping them in line with the new local time and not when you were active and when you were eating before you traveled. There are a number of supplements that you can use to cause changes in your circadian system, to shift your circadian system. And you can't do an internet search on jet lag and solving jet lag without coming across melatonin. So melatonin is a chemical which is released from the brain, and it can feed back to the circadian clock, the master circadian clock, the SCN in the hypothalamus. Now, if used correctly, this can shift you and get you more in line with your new cycle. So avoid sleep medications because many of your jet lag symptoms will be attributed to sleep deprivation. So consuming or taking sleep medicines will only worsen this problem and likely exaggerate your symptoms for jet lag. If you have free time before you travel, it's worth maybe shifting your cycle a little bit later if you have time to anticipate it. But generally, going west is best and east is a beast. So if you're going to America, it's better than when you're coming home. So the final question is, I'm off work at the moment and I've managed to get myself nocturnal, going to sleep at 7 a.m. and waking up at 3 p.m. What's the best way to fix myself? So this is a phenomenon that as circadian scientists we call social jet lag. So like jet lag in the previous question, you've shifted your circadian system out of line with the normal environmental conditions, the light-dark cycle. So this is increasingly common in modern society as we live in a world where we can constantly get access to entertainment. There is bright artificial lights during the night, and this acts like a miss in training signal for your circadian system. It's detrimental for your circadian system. So how can you get back onto a normal schedule in the best way possible? So you've got quite a decent shift to do there. You're nearly in complete antiphase from the normal light-dark cycle. So at the moment, going to sleep at 7 a.m., it's like you're in Perth in Australia. So to get back to normal, you're going to want to shift as gradually as you possibly can. And it's better for your circadian system to shift yourself backwards, so shift yourself ahead in time. So if you're going to sleep at 7 a.m., try each day shifting yourself later by 2 hours. So 7 a.m., go to sleep, 9 a.m., go to sleep, etc., till you're back in line with a normal schedule. The reason that you want to go this way and not earlier is because your circadian clock is set to inherently run a little longer. So it's better at delaying itself rather than advancing itself and going back the other way.
So the first thing you might want to know when deciding whether to legalize it is does it cause harm? Does use of marijuana potentially cause health risks? And the answer is